All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel tier lists. It's the big new thing, mostly because most Fortnite YouTubers have kind of out of actual Fortnite video ideas until season 3 gets here. But today, instead of doing a Fortnite season ranking like everyone else, I thought we'd mix things up a little bit. We are going to rank Fortnite YouTubers, not in terms of how good their content is, because I think that's a little bit subjective, and obviously I would be at the top. But no, instead, we are going to be ranking Fortnite YouTubers on their skill at the game, finding out who is the best and all the way down to who is the worst. Is it Laserbeam? Is it me? Is it Ali A? Is it Lachlan? I don't know, but we're about to dive deep into every single one of these channels' actual Fortnite stats. From their wins to their KD ratio to their win percentage. Tons of information to figure out exactly who is the most epic Fortnite YouTuber. Now, we're going to be checking out 11 channels in the video today. Those channels include the one, the only, Ali A, C-Day, Ninja, McCreamy, Sunday, and of course, Fresh, Lockie, Laserbeam, and myself. But all right, guys, without further ado, let's dive into it. And you know what? I think we're going to start off with Fresh. All right, now Fresh actually just recently got the account name Fresh. He was Mr. Fresh Asian for the longest time, and I think he bought the account off someone for... I mean, it's crazy how much a good Fortnite account name can be worth, but he's finally locked it down. And let's see, these stats, I gotta say, they're pretty impressive. 3,500 wins, over 33% win rate. He wins more than 1 in 3 of all his games, which is kind of crazy. 65,000 kills and a KD of 9.5. Fresh takes out almost 10 people for every single person that manages to eliminate him. And considering that a lot of the time we're running around in games doing kind of, you know, dumb challenges and stuff, that's even more impressive. You can also see why whenever me, Lannon, or Lockie want to have a little bit of a carry in a squads game, we pair up with Fresh. He wins literally 50% of all squads games he ever plays. That's kind of insane. Now, I know what a lot of you guys are saying, and I see this thrown around a lot, which is in competitive, he's very good, but he's not like the best. But what you got to keep in mind is most of the people who play at the very, 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 very top of competitive, that is all they do. All they do is sit in scrims and box fights for literally 20 hours a day, practicing non-stop to get that first place in competitive. Fresh, on the other hand, sits in pub games all day, messing around, having fun, filming videos, doing meme strats and dumb stuff with me and Laserbeam, and he still manages to go into tournaments and absolutely slay. So honestly, you cannot deny that he's definitely one of the best Fortnite players out there in the world. And in terms of Fortnite content creators, I think, honestly, we don't have any choice but to put him all the way up at that S tier because he is absolutely cracked. All right, now let's jump on to the next channel to check out. And you know what? It's got to be the one, the only. I've actually never seen his stats before, so I'm really curious to see how he goes. I feel like Ali cops a ton of flack for being like not great at the game, but honestly, he plays it all day, every day, and I feel like the standard to be good as a YouTuber is pretty high, so I'm expecting his stats to still be pretty impressive. Let's check him out. 640 wins, a 7.6% win rate. That's still pretty respectable. Considering he definitely mostly plays solo games, that's winning not quite 1 in 10, but say like 1 in 15 games, which, I mean, in the scheme of things, is pretty good. He's got 23,000 kills in his career and a KD of 3. Now, keep in mind, obviously, Fresh, a pro player, has a KD of almost 10, but taking out 3 people for every time you get eliminated, that's not bad. Now, I'm guessing a lot of you guys are pretty familiar with Ali's content. He's one of the biggest Fortnite YouTubers out there, and you've probably seen that he doesn't do nearly as much actual like gameplay or challenge stuff as people like me or Lockie or Lannon. He generally tends to stick to more doing, I guess, news content, at least recently. Now, because of that, unlike us, he doesn't have to grind Fortnite challenges every single day, which means he doesn't have to train as hard or be as good. And I think you probably see it reflected a little bit there. Also, and I know I'm going to cop so much hate for this, but definitely in the early days of Fortnite, not nearly as much now, console was an easier place to play the game. These days, obviously, console players out there, they phase it into everyone's boxes with their SMGs, and they're absolutely cracked, and it's definitely a real threat. But all the way back in season 1, 2, 3, 4, all those early days, people on console hadn't really figured out how to build properly yet. So if you were someone who put in a few hours and managed to practice pretty hard, which I know Ali did to a point, then you were definitely able to get your win rate and your KD ratio up a lot. All right, so this is actually super interesting. If we go into Ali's stats by each each season, and we go all the way down to the first season where stats were available, which was season 3, you can see he's got a win rate of 10% and a KD of 3.5. And you can see every season almost it goes down from 10% to 9% to 7% to 6% to 5%. And then it shoots up to 10% in season 8. I don't know what happened there. But then it's back down to 6%. 3%, 5% in season 11. That's actually pretty good. So you can see there, console really got way, way harder to play on over time. And these days, it's a terrifying place. Now, obviously, Ali is by no means bad at Fortnite, but this is a Fortnite YouTuber tier list. Every single person on this list literally plays the game full-time as their job. So even if you're good at the game, we got to have a little bit of spread here. So I think we're going to have to put Ali down on the D tier list for Fortnite skills. Look, he's good at the game by relative standards, but there's a lot of very, very, very cracked Fortnite players on this list. And out of all of them, Ali probably doesn't actually grind solo games as hard as most. So we're going to chuck him down at D. And let's move on to the next one. All right, now we're going to move on to a channel that some of you guys might have become a lot more familiar with over the past few months, and that is McCreamy. Now, obviously, McCreamy's been around the Fortnite YouTube space for a long, long time now, but I feel like he's really blown up over the past few months, and he's definitely always been someone who really loves to grind and get as good at the game as he possibly can. Now, we got to be a little bit careful here, because I know for a fact that McCreamy has got a couple of different accounts. One of them has at least 300 wins on it, so we got to credit him with 1,000 total wins at least here. He's got a win rate of about 11%. So that's over 1 in 10 games. Very respectable. And a KD of 3.93, which for someone who isn't a pro player, that is very, very good. Now, if you haven't seen McCreamy's content, he's a lot like me in the sense that he likes doing pretty dumb stuff a lot of the time, building crazy sky bridges, doing sniper-only challenges, just a lot of really, really dumb things that tend to not always lead to the best KD ratio or the best win percentage. But the fact that he still managed to pull off that win rate of 11%, and you can see it's slightly lower in solos, down at 7, but still honestly pretty respectable. Also, I know for a fact recently McCreamy's been putting a lot of time, a lot of effort into trying to really improve in competitive. And I know that him and Mao, who play together all the time, have actually been doing super well. So I think we're going to have to actually give him a pretty good spot on this tier list. We're going to put them, we're going to put them up at A tier. Very solid at the game, definitely moving up and practicing pretty hard. But I definitely think that a lot like me, McCreamy enjoys having a little bit too much fun, that we can't really put him on the pro tier at all. All right, now it's time to jump back to a definitely less than pro Fortnite player, and that is Sunday. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with his content, I think he tends to do a lot more creative videos on his channel, which means he's not spending nearly as much time playing solo Fortnite and grinding out for those Vic Roys. Now, obviously, though, if we look at his account, he's got a pretty solid number of wins. 756 with a 15% win rate. But keep in mind that a large number of those are in duos and squads, where obviously, number one, you can be playing with good teammates, but also your win rate should naturally be higher because there are less enemy teams in total. But that said, 5% win rate in solos is still very respectable, especially considering he spends most of his time in creative these days. I'm guessing, though, that a lot of these wins could be from older seasons. So let's go check that out quickly. And yeah, we can see here on those stats, this season, he's got a total of 30 wins, although none of them have been in solo. Same with season 11, 0 solo wins and only a total of 12 across duos and squads. And all the way down at season 10, still no solo wins. Sunday hasn't got a solo win since season 9 of Fortnite, unless maybe he's got an alt account that we don't know about. Now, obviously, he's still a decent player. You can see in duos and squads, he's got a KD of about 2.7 to 3, but really, honestly, not nearly as strong as some of the other people on this list. And I think, honestly, when we take into account the fact that he is definitely spending the vast majority of his time in creative, and most of the wins that he does have are either really, really old from old seasons, or they're in duos and squads playing with someone who could be carrying him through. Honestly, Sunday, I love him. We're gonna A tier. A tier. I feel bad. Please don't hate me. All right, honestly, I think we've been pretty fair on our tier list so far, but tell me what you guys think down below. And you know what? I think it's time for Fresh to have a little bit of competition. We're going to check out the one, the only, the god of Fortnite himself. That's right.
You kiss your mother with that mouth?
All right, now, obviously, Ninja's been known as one of the best players in the game since literally day number 1. He absolutely shot ahead as someone who is just known as being absolutely cracked at Fortnite. And let's see. Oh my God. 7,600 wins. 7,600. A win rate of 35%, winning over a third of his matches. He's also got a KD of very, very similar to Fresh, actually. In fact, I think he beat him by 0.01 of a KD of 9.49. Absolutely insane. Now, one thing we do have to say here when we're looking at win rate is Fresh has played the vast majority of his matches in solos, almost double what he's played in either duos or squads, whereas Ninja obviously has got a pretty even spread across all three, with solo actually being his second most played. Now, obviously that means he should have a higher win rate. So I feel like on the win rate side, we've got to actually give Fresh a bit of an edge here. So I feel like it wouldn't be totally fair to throw Fresh under the bus on the win rate right here, because obviously while Ninja's is higher, it's spread out over some slightly easier to win game modes. That said though, Fresh's solo win rate is only 27% and Ninja's is 30%. Take from that what you will. Now, if we go down the seasons here, we can see Ninja's actually not only been playing a lot less Fortnite, but also you can see how much harder Fortnite games have gotten to win. All the way back season 3, he had 412 wins and a 40% win rate. Now, if we go down, you can see that number pretty steadily ticking down to 230 wins roughly in season 4 and 5, 210 in season 6, then only 78 in season 7, 60 in season 8. But you know what? I feel like all this doesn't really matter. Obviously, Ninja's one of the most cracked Fortnite gamers in the world, and there is no place he can possibly go other than all the way up top at S tier. All right, now it's time for one I know you've all been waiting for. We're going to check out Lockie's Fortnite stats. And this is so funny to me because I feel like Lockie and I have always had this little bit of a back and forward over beating each other at little Fortnite things. And it started all the way back in the day where I was actually pretty much the first person, I think, who really introduced Lockie to Fortnite. I started making videos about a month before him, and we were chatting about, you know, him being a little bit bored with Minecraft. I was like, dude, Fortnite, it's doing great. It's so much fun to play. You got to get in here. You got to give it a go. And I remember actually taking him through his first game. And if memory serves, I think we actually threw the Victory Royale, although it was like 2.5 years ago now, so I could definitely be remembering that wrong. Now, if we look at his whole career, Lockie's got a win rate of 5%, almost 1,000 wins, and a KD of 2.6. But what I really want to look at is his entire career stats, because I think it's going to be super interesting to watch how Lockie's improved. And you can see from season 3, season 4, season 5, 6, it's all about a 2% win rate, getting about 30 or 40 solo wins a season until season 9. And now here you're going to see his wins in the season almost double up to 50. His win rate is going up as well from 1.4% to 4.20 in season 10, and then 5% in season 11. And it's staying strong at 5% this season as well. Now, recently, Lockie's been getting way more into competitive. He's been cranking. He loves doing 1v1s against Fresh. I can't lie, he's definitely gotten pretty good at the game recently. So we're going to have to chuck him definitely, I think, up at A tier along with McCreamy. Now, we've only got about 3 channels left at this stage, guys. But before we get to me and Lannon, we're going to check out C-Day. Now, C-Day is the legendary Fortnite content creator. He seems to almost never post videos, but whenever he does, they're absolute bangers. But I have no idea, really, if he's good at the game or not. It's so hard because he edits his videos down so much. You almost never see an unedited round of C-Day gameplay. So let's jump into his stats and let's see what it looks like, which is, oh, all right, actually not bad. He's got a 5.5% win rate, a KD of 2. Now, obviously, compared to a lot of the YouTubers that we look at, this isn't nearly as high, but it's still definitely respectable, especially when you take into account the amount of dumb things that man does. But obviously, all right, we got to be real here. In his Fortnite career, his solo KD ratio is 1.6, and his win percent is only 3%. Now, this is definitely the lowest of any of the channels we've looked at. And let's see, how does it change across the seasons? Has he gotten absolutely cracked recently or... All right, no, okay. You can see his solo win rate this season is 0.8% with a single win and a KD of 1. Now, obviously, he doesn't play the game as much anymore and people are getting better and better by the day. You're obviously going to come back in and really struggle to get those wins. Now, comment section, I want you all to be really nice to me here, all right? C-Day, if we're ranking his content, we'd make a new category. It'd be above S tier. It'd be S plus tier. But I mean, if we're real, he hasn't played the game nearly as much recently. He's definitely not up on that Lockie McCreamy tier. I don't even think he is on the Ali A tier. We're gonna have to put him down purely on skill level at E tier with Sunday, but S tier, S plus tier on the content. Please don't get too mad at me, comment section. All right, I'm trying to be objective here. I'm trying to look at the numbers. All right, though. Now it's time for the final two. Me and Laserbeam. Now, I think I want to end on my own so I can kind of put myself in a fair spot and not make it feel rigged. So we're going to start off by doing Laserbeam and see where he ranks. Interesting. Very interesting. Laserbeam with a career win rate of 7.5%, but which is pretty high. But the funny part is a KD of 1.62, which it would maybe suggest that he's done a couple of games of getting that win rate up by playing with Fresh. Honestly, I think over the past like month or two, Lannon got really into playing with Fresh in the duos tournaments, and he actually started practicing pretty hard. He was 1v1ing Fresh. I'd often like walk into his study and he'd be like practicing edits, getting new monitors so he could be better at the game, better keyboards, changing his edit binds. Long story short, Lannon started doing duos with Fresh, and while he's still not great at the game, he is so much better. So you know what? We are actually going to put Laserbeam up at C tier. He's going on C tier. And you know what? Actually, I feel like we did Ali A dirty. Ali A is going to C tier too. Ali and Lannon, they both get to sit on the same level. And now it's time for the end. It's time to analyze me and see how I've done. But all right, drum roll, ladies and gentlemen. Muso stat reveal. Bam. Oh, I'm actually not bad. Look at this right here. I got a 10% win rate, 35,000 eliminations, over 1,000 wins, 3.5 KD. Okay, 3.43 KD. Look, okay, I'm trying to round up. I'm like a kid who's like, how old are you? I'm almost 11. Honestly, those stats are a lot better than I thought. I think I can definitely put myself in the category of one of the YouTubers who likes to run around and mess around and kind of play pretty stupidly a lot of the time. Season 10, just blame it on the mechs. Wasn't my fault. Went back down to 5%. But then Fortnite Part 2, I've entered my element. 9% win rate, and then a 10% solo win rate this season. Honestly, that's pretty respectable. Let's see, what was Lockie? I want to set myself up against his stats for the last season. Interesting. I've actually got double as many wins and double the win rate of Lockie this season. That almost doesn't make sense to me. And it was pretty much the same for season 11. Double the win rate and not quite double the wins. But you know what? I actually got to be fair here. Lockie definitely does spend a lot more time practicing, doing box fights. It's 1v1ing people in creative mode. All stuff that to be honest, I just want to go build a sky bridge. I can't be bothered with that. I don't have time. So in a technical sense, I think Lockie is definitely going to be better at cranking 90s than me. So you know what? I'm going to be fair. I don't want people to think that I've rigged the whole thing. We are going to put me at S tier. Thank you very much. Yeah, no, okay, no. But to be real, I'm going to put myself down at B tier. I think definitely I'm not quite on the cranking level of McCreamy and Lockie this season, but next season, I'm going hard. I'm going to join a trios team. We're going to start grinding. We're going to start practicing 90s. I'm just going to start posting 90s videos only. I'm going to remake this video at the end of season 3, and I'm going to be all the way at the top, baby. All the way at the top. They're going to be a new tier to describe me. If you enjoyed this video, then chuck a like on it. If you disagree with any of where I ranked people in the tier list, let me know down in the comment section below. Would actually be super interested to see what everyone thinks. I think we actually put everyone at a pretty fair spot in the end. But obviously, a lot of opinions out there, and I'm curious to see what you guys think. Let me know in the comment section below. But until the next video, guys, bye-bye.